Anthony, what the hell are you doing?
I was trying to get in character for our new video.
Dude, we're going hiking in an hour. Why are you in my back? Is that my M1 Garand? What the?
No.
Give me that.
No, I'm not.
Dude, come on, get up. We gotta go.
Could I at least get a hand up?
Yeah.
Well, hello there, ladies and gentlemen. Have you ever wondered what it might be like to go hiking in equipment from the Second World War? Probably not, because you're deeply intelligent. But we over here had that question and decided to put it towards a scientific test. As you can see right here, I have come fully kitted out in what American servicemen in the Army would have been wearing in roughly late 1944. Now, certain items are going to be out of place, if not a touch anachronistic, and some of the bag as well that we've packed is not going to be packed for combat, but specifically for hiking, and we'll go over that shortly. However, before we get too much into it, we have a few ground rules that we have to list out in what we're doing. For starters, when we're out hiking, we cannot have any firearms whatsoever, so I have to surrender this now. So yes, that's an incredible shame for us, but at least I had it while I did. Further, I can't have items that are going to be falsified like these dummy hand grenades because people might think they're real, even if they do have the blue spoon on them. So goodbye, boys. As a final note, we'll be meeting with our local in-house physician, Mr. Blake Aiken, who has former military service as a medical corpsman. He'll be working with us to make sure and checking up on us on how we're going to be physically before we hike, how we look during it, as well as checking with us afterwards. Now, if you need any stamps for this, we'll list them down below. But other than that, come with us here at Eager Beaver on what might be one of our most interesting missions yet. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Greetings, ladies and gentlemen, live here from our Eager Beaver Legal Department-experimental bunker. So good to have you here with us today. Now, as you know our prompt already, we're going to endeavor to experience what modern-day hiking is like with equipment from 1944. However, with all of that said, I'd like to introduce everyone to a word known as anachronistic. Anachronistic means something that is out of time. We have done our very best to put together a relatively realistic hiking pack for that which would have been used by United States Army soldiers serving in France in the year of 1944. That being said, we fully admit that not all of this is perfect. 1/3 of our equipment we happen to borrow. Another third of the equipment I personally own from my own family's time in the service. And the final third of equipment are items that we bought reproduction and or come a little bit later from service, but they're extremely similar to what they would have had. We apologize ahead of time for some of the items that are going to be out of date. But that being said, we are on a budget and it does cost us a great deal and we don't make money off of YouTube. So, with all of that said, let's get into some of the specifics of what we'll be taking on our 50-pound hiking rucksack here from the 1940s. On this table here are the pieces of equipment that I utilized while filming our opening short, including an M1 Garand and its bayonet, some dummy hand grenades, an M1 steel helmet, leggings, and an M1928 backpack with all the necessary attachments. Now, here we are with a lot of the kit that you saw in the opening of our short film, Saving Private Ryan on a Budget. Let's talk about what we're going to be carrying with us and some of the items that we can't carry with us, and again, bring up that word, anachronistic. I'll share those with you shortly. For starters here, the M1 Garand. This is super cool. We absolutely love it. This is an original from the Second World War and was later issued out for parade use. It's very cool. It's very hefty. 30-06 beauty. However, we can't take this with us hiking, so it's going to have to stay here on the table. We're going to make up for this weight later by adding some dead weights here into the M1928 pack. But that being said, this is roughly 10 pounds minus ammunition, give or take a few. And here is our M1 Garand in all of her glory. Go ahead and take a look at that beautiful wood furniture, as well as to just enjoy the fact that there's a 1907 sling on her. Further, what we carry with us on our kit is an original M1 Grand bayonet. Now, this was actually issued during 1944. However, you're going to notice it's extremely short, because by the time my family received this bayonet, it had gone through the Korean War. In World War II, these bayonets would have been roughly 16 to 10 inches, but that was rather ludicrous for most soldiers. Several of them on their own time cut those bayonets down and made them shorter, and by the time the Korean War begins in the early 1950s, it was just standard issue that these should be cut down to only 6 inches. Again, this one was indeed used in World War II, but it got the cut from Korea. Kind of a shame, but at the same time, really kind of cool. When we're hiking as well, I'm not going to utilize my original gaiters, legging, spats, whatever you call these. I'm a proper size 2R, however, what I'm wearing are 4Rs. You could call that incorrect and or anachronistic, however, I always like to bring up the point that in the Army there are only 2 sizes, one being too small and the other being too big. So we live with it there. You'll notice that the lacing is incorrect to a certain degree, and so is the top knot. Further, down by where the actual gaiter teeth are, biting the bottom clip and strap, there is far too much excess there than what would normally be acceptable, but the 4Rs were what we had available to us, so we're using them in this kit. Another point I like to bring up here is this original M1 helmet. I will not be wearing this while hiking. It's super cool, it's super awesome, and as you can tell from my childhood, it had a lot of wonderful playtime in it. I'd like to thank my uncles Mike, as well as Uncle Bob, Rick, and Dan for allowing me to play with these as a child. However, this is going to stay securely here and away from our hike. Though this roughly being 5 pounds will be added to this sack as well when we're carrying it. Now, as a final note, let's do a big breakdown of everything here in the web gear that we're going to be carrying with us on our hike. Now, what we have right here before us is the original M1928 haversack and frankly, entire backpacking system. We'll start off with the meat can here, which is fully original. Pull it out for you here. Here's our feeding trough, and inside of it is a reproduction ration. This is actually really nice, and you'll get to see me eat this later. I personally look forward to it because it mostly tastes like chocolate, but again, this is our D-Ration that we'll be taking with us. Put this to the side for a second. Although it probably won't be nearly as much use, we also have the full assortment here of utensils. All of these, again, original to 1942. Really nice. And a fun little touch here is the fact that they say US just here on the handles. I'll get a zoom in for you in a minute. Now, aside from this, here's something that's anachronistic. If you can notice it here, this shovel, which I'm not going to take out, our e-tool here, this pack that it's held in, for starters, is actually from Korea. The style and design is the exact same as what they had in 1944 and 45. However, it's gone into the US Army OD green. So the colors are wrong for what they would have had in 1944. Further, this shovel here is a full reproduction, and it's not perfect because it actually has a serrated edge on it. I'll show you here in a second. They didn't really have these in 1944. They weren't widely available, nor did they have this axe head. But we didn't really have the money to buy a full reproduction, nor did we have the money to buy an original. They're not terribly expensive, but all of that being said, it saved us $50, and that's something I'm willing to part with. We mostly have it here for being very close to what they had, and at the same time, it adds weight to the pack for what we're really going for here in the recreation. Something else that we're carrying with us here, if I can show you properly, and I won't go too far into depth here. What we have packed in here is going to be an original recreation tent. A lot of the ropes that we have here and poles are originals from both the Second World War, and Korea. The tent body, though, that we have in here happens to be a reproduction because we don't want to destroy an original from World War II. And that's this tent right here. Now, we have not packed this properly how they usually would. You generally break it down into thirds and roll it tighter. Further, we have 2 sets within here of what are actually going to be the pup tent halves. You would only really see them carrying 1 in the field as they carry it as a team. However, to add weight, we've thrown in 2, just to make sure that I equal what Tauntaun's carrying in his modern rucksack as well. Also, because when it comes to filling in the rest of this bag and all the wonderful, exciting toiletries that would go here, we don't have the money for that, so shucks, get them next time, I guess. A few final notes here on what we get right and wrong. This is an original World War II 1944 canteen and pouch. However, the canteen here, I mean to say, is a reproduction. Now, it's not bad. We actually really like this. We own an original. I couldn't find it for this film shoot. However, you're much better off drinking from something made of aluminum and or steel that is not fully rusted. But this is quite nice and in relatively good condition for what we can get, minus the fact that one of the grommets is kind of given out here. And this one, just adding to the pack for weight and the sake of more water, is an Amazon reproduction. We're relatively pleased with this. However, I admit it's not the most believable, but it works. It's going to fill our purposes. Going on with this here, we have 2 medical pouches that actually came from the United States Army while they were in jungle service in World War II. This is anachronistic and would not properly be used in this kind of a kit for the European theater. However, they are originals and they were readily available to us. I'm very pleased with them. They help us hold modern medical supplies, which we take with us just for the sake of safety. However, they also help us add a little weight to this very much original 1938 pistol belt. And as a final note here, we have the M1911 clip holder here. This is just going to hold your basic clips for the 1911 pistol. You probably wouldn't have seen these generally thrown on a pistol belt like this, but we're throwing it on again to add weight and to make sure that we have something original. At this point, let's now go and discuss what I'm actually wearing on my physical person. That is the uniform I'm attempting to recreate. Here we have the Type 2 of the United States Service boot. These are reproductions, however they're fairly faithful. They're hand-cobbled and machine-stitched, and all in all, they're very solid. And before you here is the HBT fatigues of World War II. These are also reproduction. Here is the 1941 service jacket, which has been pre-battle damaged from some television show, so I don't have to worry about getting it dirty. A good 2/3 of this web gear here is actually original before you. However, you can tell it does need a touch more adjustment before we go out and hike. Then we throw on our bandoliers and our dummy hand grenades. See, that bag still needs some work. Next we toss on our helmet for safety's sake. And we finish here with the M1 Grand Rifle. Please remember that the rifle, helmet, and hand grenades will all have their weight supplemented while hiking, but this is what the outfit would look like. So that's our full breakdown of what we have going on in our rucksack. From here, let's go on to our medical test with good old Blake to make sure that both Tauntaun and I are in peak physical masculine condition. And then from there, I get to go hiking in all of this. Isn't that swell? Greetings, ladies and gentlemen. As you can see, I've changed out into my PT gear because we're about to get a physical. We're currently located here in our Eager Beaver Medical Lab Waste Disposal Unit area. So I'm going to hand over the mic now to our good old friend Blake, who's going to take charge now of our medical needs. Here we go.
Hey there, I'm Blake. I'm part of the Eager Beaver crew, and what we're doing today is we're going to do a physical assessment on Anthony and Tauntaun. And some of my credentials are, I was with the Army, I was a 68 whiskey, so a combat medic. I did that for about 6 years. After that, I did EMS for a few years, and then I went to school, got my RN, and now I do post-acute care in the home. And so today we're going to see how Anthony and Tauntaun are doing, and then we're going to redo this after our hike and see how they do after our hike. All right, Anthony, let me borrow a finger from you. I'm going to check your oxygen here.
Okay.
And I'll check your blood pressure over here.
All right, thank you. Is it bad if I tell you this is like one of my favorite parts of getting a checkup is this thing here?
Oh, you like the tension?
I kind of do.
All right, so your blood pressure looks great. Okay, We got right at 122/80. And oxygen, 97%. And what I'll do is I'll take a quick listen to your heart and your lungs. All right. And take a deep breath. Good. All right, so his heart and lungs sound great. Vital signs are perfect, so I think he is good for the hike. All right, turn. So now it's your turn.
All right.
Or a finger.
Here we go.
And we'll see what your blood pressure is.
Okay.
Well, your blood pressure looks good. So I got right at 124/82, so that's perfectly normal. And I'll take a quick listen to your lungs and your heart.
Okay.
All right, and deep breath. Okay.
Good.
All right, and oxygen's at 98%, so everything looks great with Tonton, so he's ready for the hike also.
And as nice as that was, there was unfortunately one very important final medical exam we all needed before the hike.
Jesus, Mother Mary.
And with that ritualistic humiliation completed, we are now A-OK and cleared from our medical exam. So let's go on to the hike now. And here it is, ladies and gentlemen, beautiful Paris Mountain State Park, located in Greenville, South Carolina. Here are the two backpacking systems that we're going to be testing. To the right is the M1928 backpack system from 1942 here, and on the left we have an REI Trailmade 60 from 20 and 23, respectively. Both of these bags are carrying 50 pounds worth of supplies. However, keep in mind that the M1928 has dead weights added to it to make up for some lost space and weight. And good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Here we are at 0 hour 9 a.m. Sounds a lot like a song, I know. We are now prepared to do the full perimeter hike, which is roughly 8 to 10 miles, depending on how you spread it out, here at Paris Mountain, South Carolina. And we're going to be comparing equipment from 1944 to equipment from the modern day. That'll be worn by Tauntaun, and yours truly gets to play dress up. Now, one of the first things we're going to try out here is putting on web gear, and I'll show you just how much fun that is compared to a modern backpack. See, don't I look pretty now? Isn't this nice? I think everything stayed in place. Now it's Tauntaun's turn to try it out.
This is why modern is better. We're good to go.
So let me point out a few key differences here from modern science and what they knew back then. For starters, this is an incredibly high-waisted system. We've adjusted it as much as we can, but at the same time, in general, they were fairly high up. The pants underneath, my fatigues, are also high. It's part of the fashion, and it was just how things were. Further, you're going to notice that I have a great deal of weight pulling back down on my back and on my shoulders. Whereas in the modern day and age, you can see this kidney belt pushes a lot of the weight down into the hips. Further, the weight is staying far more centered and up, and it's actually only supplementary that you're going to have that weight driving into your shoulders. Most of it's on your hips and keeping your spine perfectly aligned. I'll do a quick back-to-back to show you real quick, just to see some of these differences here. And with all of that said, we're now off to the races to start comparing these two systems. Within the first mile, we're just getting warm and frankly breaking in these systems a bit better. However, as we make our way deeper into this hike, we'll start comparing these systems side by side. Further, by the time we got to our first trail marker, Tauntaun and I might have started a bit of a friendly rivalry here.
Don't worry, we're still friends.
No, I think old's gonna win. Old is cool. So we're not even a mile in, and already Anthony and I have been debating whether or not I'm going to win this challenge or he is. Personally, I think I'm going to win because I look cool as hell, and he smells funny and bad.
I mean, I'm also more comfortable, lighter, and overall warmer too.
Listen, if it worked for Granddad, it's gonna work for me, so you can just get lost.
There's a reason why it was made in the 1900s. I don't even know when it was made.
I think you just need to can it. They won a world war with this. What did you win, Jack? Go back, play Minecraft.
I won Mount Everest. See this Arctic expedition.
That's great. I think we should just hand the camera back to Blake. This is going to get nasty really soon. Blake, take the camera back here.
Gotcha.
And I can admit to you now that a good deal of that trash talk probably got our pace going a bit faster than we initially anticipated. But I couldn't help it. I wanted to prove that Granddad's system could still keep up with the modern day and age, regardless of if that was well-placed intention or not.
I mean, Anthony, it's really nothing personal, but again, this won the World War.
You know, I shattering, keep on shattering.
I'm going to show you.
All of that said, I'm more than man enough to admit that I was already coming upon a weakness, being my service boots here, which were ever so flat-bottomed and tend to be a bit slippery on some of these branches. Oh well.
And here's something I can tell you already about the equipment, which already puts me at a disadvantage, is the fact that these boots are fairly slick on the bottom, and just walking on roots is already dangerous for me because I can fall quite hard. And we have 8 more miles to go, so it's only going to get worse. I bet you can't wait to see me fall.
And here, I give Tauntaun the first point in our competition. However, the thought of tripping and falling not even a mile in certainly didn't slow our pace any, and I wasn't at all scared to trip on rocks or mud slicks or roots that would throw me off and injure me terribly. No, of course not.
So we are now roughly 1 mile in, yeah?
Yeah, around there.
Okay, 1 mile in, and we've decided we're already getting heated. We started out hiking today at 28 degrees, and it's getting up into the 38, 37 now, and our body heat is getting up. So we're going to shuck off some layers, and we're going to compare real quick what that's like for me and what that is like for him and his modern kit, which is lame.
That's lame.
You're lame.
This is. I'll be.
You're lame. So with all of that said, let's now compare what it's like to chuck a layer off here. And let me show you how much better I am than he is. Let's begin.
Just like that, in record time.
Save the camera. Oh. I wanted to know that he cheated. It's obvious he started ahead of me.
It's not true.
It is true.
It's not true.
It's true.
I mean, Grandpa clothes slow. Oh, you're getting hot. Yeah, you can even see the dust flying off the.
You know, I've nearly had it with this. I've nearly had it with this language of yours.
I mean, well, you can settle it at the top.
Yeah, we will. We'll settle this at the top.
I don't even know if you'll make it to the top. Yeah. All right. Don't get heated. Don't get too heated now. You'll put your jacket back on.
Okay, see you.
I'm mature enough to admit Tauntaun won that round. However, there's still 7 miles to go. So I give 1 point to Tauntaun here.
And now we've made it here to Sulphur Springs, which is frankly where the hiking actually gets a little more real for us. We're 1.25 miles in, so let's get started.
Sulphur Springs is a point of de-embarkation, in particular for the fact that this is where the hiking will slowly get more technical and go more uphill. But I also admit that our friendly rivalry kept Tauntaun and I in very good spirits. Here is the old Sulphur Spring Dam, And this is one of the first real climbs of the day. You can see right there, my boots give out because they're flat-bottomed and they're cobbled. So the nails really don't do much as far as traction on stone. But that said, we still made our way up. In particular, these service boots really benefit from having more traction underfoot, like in the mud that we go up in here.
See, I told you we'd start slipping up there. It's these. It's that flat bottom and that cobbling that catches. They're not quite mountaineering boots.
Flat-bottomed or not, none of that could stop us from continuing our way up the mountain and the Sulphur Creek. Which, in and of itself, is a really beautiful climb. I'll give it that. It was also at this point that I could really feel that my feet were starting to hurt in these shoes. Now, they had been worn plenty of times before and broken in, but frankly, they're just not made for a hike like this. Tauntaun here, on the other hand, has the benefit of 80-plus years of synthetic scientific research and polymers, aiding his feet wherever he steps. He also has the benefit of increased traction, which does make me somewhat jealous here. As much as we could talk about shoes all day, there's another factor that is far more important than just walking, and that's a matter of staying hydrated. Let's take a look at these water systems now.
So we're roughly 2.5 miles in, and we haven't really been drinking as much water as we should have. And we decided this is the perfect time to compare the modern Camelback system to the old canteen system of the 1940s. I'm going to let Tauntaun go first, and then I'll show you.
So simply just remove it from the magnets, open it up, and drinking with no hands, and it tastes even better.
And here I go, pulling from the canteen. So I gotta reach behind me, gotta steady a hand on this. Some days it gets stuck. Get it out. Unscrew it. To be fair, this keeps water extremely cold, which I like. But reaching it is a bit of a nuisance, to say. And then I have to attempt to put this back in. Any minute now. There we go. Kind of a kink in the neck, but hey, I'm still drinking water.
When it comes to watering systems, I'm actually going to award us both a point. And that's because although Tauntaun's is lighter, it is a bit less durable and can be punctured fairly easily. As I said earlier, once you get into the Sulphur Springs Trail, things become far more technical, the trails become far more rugged, and frankly, it's a touch more dangerous, but this area is excellent to test our equipment in.
Now, we're not incredibly deep into things yet, but I'd like to say that I'm really impressed with actually how well this pack has been functioning so far. It certainly is antiquated to a few degrees, obviously, but really, it's been surprisingly comfortable so far. My only complaint right now are the shoes, because they tend to slip all over. Don't tell them I said that.
I heard it.
No, he didn't.
I heard it all.
The 1928 system actually is surprisingly effective. Even the leggings to a degree are helping to support my ankles and keep dirt out. But the shoe bottoms themselves, the soles, and the heel really do make it difficult to manage some of this terrain in the area. I could also feel the straps on my M1928 haversack starting to really dig into my shoulders more. Now, it wasn't terrible, but I could tell there was some swelling going on in my hands.
Hello.
Hi.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, we're roughly halfway up and we still have more climbing to do. I'm relatively surprised at how comfortable I am in this. I can feel the pressure definitely digging into my shoulders, but for the most part, it's been very good. My only big concern right now, again, are the boots, because they just keep slipping up on most every surface I touch. But we'll keep going up from here. And once we do, it'll probably be time for a lunch break.
And rather like a child, I innocently confess to you that the thought of a lunch break really is an incredible motivator to keep going up a mountain. In fact, the thought of eating just kinda seems to get rid of all pain in the body and joints. In fact, you can see me sprinting there just to get ahead because I wanted to eat sooner. With that in mind, I really would not suggest running up a mountain, just because it's not going to do anything but add to your suffering. And these routes aren't the best to go for a dead sprint in.
Take a look at this here. That makes it worth it. Yeah, get a load of this one. That's pretty.
As fun as it is to challenge ourselves out here, it really is a privilege to know that heaven does indeed exist on some parts of this earth. Sadly, the stairway to heaven is another 800 feet in elevation up the mountainside, but Tauntaun here is putting in one hell of an effort because he really wants to win this competition today. And that only adds to my burden ever so more because these World War II combat boots really aren't made for something like that, but they get the job done ever so slowly. While hiking our way up 800 feet, I do believe at some point we might have almost accidentally broken Dr. Aiken, though to be fair, we were making him run along with us while he held a camera. And a moment like that reminds us that we're not in this only for competition. Together, we're a brotherhood known as the Eager Beavers, and we don't let our own down. At a moment like this, we work together and raise each other up. And we did make it that 800 feet in elevation. In reference to these kits being able to actually perform team duties, both Tauntaun and I are awarded 1 point each, because they both help to carry the burden of the other. At this juncture, we make our way up Fire Tower Trail and towards the Canoga Trail.
You know, it's moments like that that you realize, even though we're separated by decades of gear, we're all Eager Beavers in the end.
Yeah. And we come together when it matters.
I'm still gonna win though. I love you, buddy, but
We'll see.
I'm gonna win.
At the very top of the mountain for the day, we now come to our lunch break, so let's start talking about the differences there, historically.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, we have come to the halfway point of our hike, which means now it is officially lunchtime. So we're going to compare what I have for lunch here in my bag compared to what Tauntaun has in his modern bag here. So a little bit of the 1944 army diet to modern luxury. I know who wins. So for lunch, let's see what I get to eat today. When we open up this wonderful meal here, we have cigarettes and a D-Ration. Isn't that exciting? Huh. So let's start here with our D-Ration. If only I could figure out how to properly open this one. Look at that, no trouble. No trouble whatsoever. Thank you, M1 Garand. And, ooh, look at that. Doesn't that look nice? Oh, that makes me so excited to eat. I'm so ready to be nourished.
And out of the box, here is what an original D-Ration would look like.
Actually, it smells lovely. It smells like granola. So here we go. That's actually really good. That's actually really nice. It doesn't look good. But it's full of, I was going to say, oats, nuts. There's a touch of some vitamins and obviously extra sugar and cocoa powder. It really is just the original hiking food bar. I love this low calorie bar. I really mean it. This is good. Take a look.
And for a generation that lived off of ice cream, Hershey's bars, and Coca-Cola, this really is a treat.
And how do we finish a delicious, healthy chocolate bar dinner? Why, of course, with a cigarette break.
Remember, dear viewer, that smoking is incredibly bad for you. This is only done for historical comparison. Cigarettes are proven to cause cancer, so don't touch them because they're very icky.
And this is going to be why the 21st century is instantly already better than whatever Anthony brought. Let's reach into my pack here. Already so much easier. And what do we have in here? A 21st century sandwich. Let's open this up. Oh, wow. Got some barbecue chips. Chips Ahoy. Already better than whatever that chocolate mess was. A napkin. Gatorade. This prized possession right here. The 21st century sandwich. Yeah. This is already 100 times better than, I don't know what he had, but I already know I won.
Also, for the sake of historical comparison. And please know, dear viewer, that vaping is just as bad, if not worse for you than smoking. We do not support it. However, we are trying to make a historical point here. Just don't do it.
Did you want to bite?
No, I don't. I like this more.
Shoot yourself?
I personally think that I've won this section here.
No.
I get to eat an entire chocolate bar full of delicious healthy oats and vitaminerals, including vitamin C. What do you have?
This bread is pretty processed, so it probably has more than whatever that is.
Probably full of bleach. Did your mom make that for you?
That was actually Miss Aiken. Thank you, Miss Aiken.
Yeah, okay, yeah, whatever.
Yeah.
This one comes from Uncle Sam, and it's delicious. I win by default.
Yeah, it's not true.
For our score here in the realm of food and nutrition, I again award Tauntaun and I both a point, just because it can be a highly debated point on how nutritious either meal truly is. Further, plenty of them have negative takeaway points, such as smoking, and again, please don't participate in smoking.
Now, after that rather gourmet lunch, some days, your system starts to move a little bit. You know what I mean? So, how do we go about using the bathroom? For someone like myself, I'm first going to have to find a large vacant area to utilize. Then, I actually have to go into my bag here. I'm going to have to pull out my e-tool. Give me a second, it takes a minute. And here it is, in all of its glory. Now we just have to fasten this headpiece up nice and secure so we can actually use our folding e-tool here. There we go. Now I'll go out and I'll find a hole and I'll dig it in. Sadly, when it comes to my total kit, I only have this little singular piece of toilet paper to utilize. So let me show you how we properly use it out in the field. You have a piece of nice toilet paper like this, beautiful, high-quality single ply. I'm gonna fold it over once in half. I'm going to then fold it into a quarter. I'm gonna take that little inside pocket there, and pull that aside, and then there's a little hole there. I'll just stick my finger through, and that's what we call a ranger wipe in the field. I don't feel like I have to explain this any further, okay? I'm gonna go use the bathroom. Leave me alone. Quit watching.
Well, here in the 21st century, we're a little more civilized when it comes to using the restroom in the US. First, take the bag off, reach into here. Right here, this is the magic ticket. We got in here. Oh, and look at that. We got some deodorants, some hand sanitizer. You know, if things get a little squirrely out there. Now, he might have beat me on the shovel size, but it's the way that you use it. We also got some dude wipes in here. another one from United Airlines. And also, you know, if you need to dry up, there we go. We've got a little more than just one ply. It's actually two. Very luxurious. So I'm gonna go find my place in the woods and have a relaxing bathroom experience.
With all of that said, I have to give the point here to Tauntaun, because he has everything a civilian could want and more. The army system is old, outdated, hefty, and frankly, it really smells bad after a while. But hey, at least you can use it. With that scorekeeping completed, we now had to make our way 4 miles back to camp in order to finish our perimeter loop. But we still had plenty to talk about.
Yeah, no, can't let you argue about. The fact is I got a whole chocolate bar and it was delicious.
Oh, I got Chips Ahoy. That is delicious.
Yeah, for sure. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we're now coming to the final half of our hike here. And so far, no one has broken physically or emotionally, though I think he's breaking a sweat a little bit.
I think you're breaking your toes.
Yeah, whatever. But as we come up here, we don't have too much more to show you on what's changing in our gear, but what we can show you is going to be our before and after. As you remember, we had our initial physical, and now what we're going to work our way towards is the final, complete physical from Dr. Blake. So we're going to make our way back now towards base camp, get to the car, and from there, you'll find out that I'm the most physically in shape with the highest oxygen count and the best blood score.
While I race you down.
It really is no exaggeration to say that we spent a good deal of the last mile or two running downhill. Paris Mountain offers many beautiful scenic areas, so please take your time and get to see some of it.
Okay, so I'm currently winning the race. He's trying to catch up, but I'm winning. I'm winning. No, I'm going to win. I'm going to win.
We really didn't plan to run the last half mile, but we did. And with all of that said, I'll go ahead and add it to our final metrics here. The question is, can you run in either of these outfits from the modern day or from World War II? And the answer is yes, they both hold up. So I award points to both myself and Tauntaun for having run roughly 1.5 miles in these outfits. With that done, we both made a final sprint to Dr. Blake to get a checkup and see who would be the healthiest one of all.
Blake.
As you can see, we are a deeply mature bunch. Let's just skip ahead to the checkup now and finish this.
Well, as you can see, we have just concluded our, roughly 8-mile hike here at Paris Mountain. And we've compared the incredibly awesome and cool kit from 1944 to today's really lame kit.
The amazing 21st century camping and hiking gear. It's the best of the best.
Yeah, sure, whatever. Anyhow, we're here to finish up now. As you remember, we had to check up with good old Dr. Blake before this hike, and now we're going to take a look at our stats after the hike. So we'll go from there and check up how we're doing physically. And once we're done with that, we'll give you our keynotes about which system, which is so obviously and very well known to be, without doubt, the premier, the greatest of all time, best to use while hiking.
AKA, mine. We'll see. We'll see. Blake, he'll tell us.
Yeah, he's the medical expert. He's the tiebreaker.
Yep.
No pressure, Blake. So, ladies and gentlemen, since I won the downhill foot race here, I get the medical checkup first. Swell. So I'll hand it over to Dr. Aiken here, and he's going to do the same thing we did before prior and see how I'm doing today. Doc, you ready?
We're ready.
All right.
Let me borrow some of this.
Thank you. I bet I'm perfect.
Go ahead and get your blood pressure over here.
Thank you. I've been looking forward to this all day because I just know I'm gonna rub it in Tauntaun's face about how much healthier I am, how much better my pack was. Can't wait. Please make sure it works in my favor. Gotcha. I'm scared. What if it's bad?
Well, everything's looking okay right now. So we got right at about 126 over 80.
6 over 80? That's good. What about this?
So you had 98 on there and 82 on heart rate.
There we go. That's healthy. That's good, right?
That's healthy.
Anything else going on though?
So let's see. Let me see your hands here. So sometimes what you'll have is when you're wearing your straps and if it cuts blood supply down or anything like that, you have swelling in your hands. And that's what I can notice with Anthony is there's a little bit of swelling in his hands from his straps that he was wearing on his backpack.
Exciting. There we go.
But other than that, I would say everything looks fairly good right now.
Good. So we can beat Tauntaun. That's the main thing.
That's it. All right, Anthony, you ready for it? Before we begin the procedure, we got a little gift for you.
Oh.
Sweet. Ooh, there we go. While Anthony's in the bathroom, no one has to know about that one. Mm-hmm.
I don't know if I can, but
Just treat yourself with something nice at least.
I'll keep it in my pocket.
There you go.
All right, well, let me borrow a finger from you.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead and get your blood pressure.
Yep.
All right, so your blood pressure was 122/74. See here. So we got right at
97.
97 again.
Pretty good.
Now let's take a look at your hands.
Yep.
So your hands are looking better because I believe it's from your straps. Your straps are a lot wider.
Mm-hmm.
They have a lot more padding, and then two, you have the hip belt on your bag.
Mm-hmm.
So that hip belt really helps to alleviate some of the pressure on your shoulders.
Yeah.
And your feet are doing well in your boots.
Yeah. Feet are doing good. Yeah.
You did slip or slide.
Haven't slipped that at all.
All right.
I got gripped and I don't want to say anything else. I'll leave it there.
Looks good. Looks good.
And with our medical test finally completed, that brings us to the final metric of the day, overall health. And according to the doctor, myself and Tauntaun both passed, so we both get a point on that. With the total added up, that makes Tauntaun the winner with a score of 8 out of 8, and my M1928 bag getting 5 out of 8. However, let me admit something to all of you right now. The large majority of these metrics are extremely arbitrary and mean little if anything. We really could have told you from the beginning that a system from 1942 was going to be far less effective than a modern system. However, there's a bit of a deeper reason why we did this. Let me tell you.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, we've been about as scientific as the Eager Beaver crew possibly can, given our circumstance and, frankly, our funding. But I'd like to thank you for coming along. Now, what you're all asking is the World War II 1944 setup superior to the modern one, or did we find out anything interesting that it's better at? Well, frankly, boys and girls, I have to take the loss here and admit to you that as cool as this is, and as amazing as it is to wear this equipment, hands down, some of the best equipment out there is going to come from the modern day and age. It's very easy to tell because these straps dig into me constantly. These boots slip everywhere. Leggings, I know why they had them then, but I don't really want to have to wear them now. And we've come so much further through all of our research, so I invite Tauntaun out here to accept the win for today.
Thank you.
Good sport. Of course,
It was a pleasure.
of course.
It was a pleasure.
It was a privilege. Thank you.
Mhm.
Yes,
Yeah.
this is how gentlemen behave. We've been very genteel the entire time.
Yep.
Now, give me a second to talk you through about where this equipment comes up a little short, but also its historical background. Now, ladies and gentlemen, it really should be obvious that this is not the best setup for the modern day and age. But keep in mind that a lot of this was designed and released at the latest by 1944, and the current year as of filming is 2025. So that's near over 80 years of research and development that's been made available to improve upon this equipment immensely. But I would like to give this the compliment of saying, without this equipment, we wouldn't have anything modern anymore. For its time, it's deeply innovative and clever. This webbing is almost like modern Molly equipment. Further, something like this pack here, the M1928, is actually extremely versatile for the time. The variety of straps available to it and how easily you can customize this rig is a testament to the ingenuity of the men and women of that era. But is it the best equipment overall? Of course not. It is, at the end of the day, a historical relic at this point. Now, many of you watching this are probably asking yourselves, why did we even bother wearing this old-timey 1944 equipment? I mean, after all, you know it's going to be out of date. Well, I can admit to you now that going into this, yes, I did know this was going to be out of date and far less comfortable than modern-day equipment. Again, there's an 80-year gap in the research and development. The real reason that we do something like this, though, is to understand what our forefathers went through, as well as their fathers before them. It's incredible to have this piece of living history that we can step into and experience to a degree what it was like for them. Keep in mind that this kind of equipment was designed for warfare in 1944 in Europe. A lot of my forefathers, including my uncles Mike, as well as Bob, Rick, and Dan, experienced this overseas. So for me, it's just the opportunity to better learn and understand them, and to be a little closer to a past that seems to be going further away from us more, each and every day. Again, it's so humbling to be here and experience this very original equipment and know the hardships as well as the pleasures that they went through in their day-to-day lives at that time in their youth. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you again for coming along with us on this incredibly fun and very different adventure for us here at the Eager Beaver crew. I'd like to especially thank our good friend and teammate, Dr. Blake, for coming along and helping us out today and checking up on us before and after the hike, as well as taking time out of his busy schedule to be a part of this. So thank you, Doc. I'd also like to thank our fellow crewmate, Tauntaun here, who's been an incredible sportsman the entire time and certainly has made this a very fun experience for me.
I'm sorry for ripping on the clothing. I don't actually find it that hilarious that you're wearing it, but I respect it. I respect the clothing.
Bring it in, brother. See, we're gentlemen at the end of the day. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us here. Please stay tuned for more exciting content like this and more. If you've enjoyed today's show, please like and subscribe below. Other than that, this is goodbye from your friends here at the Eager Beaver crew. Until next time.